And welcome to this edition of the Selling Through Partnering Skills podcast, where I am joined by Venice Lau, who is the founder of Your Entrepreneur Resources. Venice, hi.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
No, thank you for taking the time to speak to me. Just where are you in the world at the moment? 'Cause I know you travel around quite a bit.
Yeah, I'm in Hong Kong at the moment, but I'm normally based out of Japan in Tokyo.
Okay, right. So I think you might be the first Pacific guest I've had on this show.
Oh, yay!
Hey, how
I'm
cool
so
is
honored.
that? How cool is that?
Yeah.
No, it's a landmark. It's a landmark edition of the show. Yeah. Um, so could you just tell me a little bit or tell us a little bit more about your entrepreneur resources? What's all that about? What do you do?
Yeah, for sure. Let me just tell you a little bit about my background first and how I
Mhm.
came to doing your entrepreneur resources. So, I actually run an events and marketing company in Tokyo, and I've been doing that for about 8 years. I kind of just stumbled, fell into it because I was in university and I was running a lot of different parties and events, all kinds of nightlife events, and I started partnering up with a lot of clubs and different international brands. So I worked with like Red Bull and like Brooklyn Brewery, Budweiser, a lot of alcohol brands. And through that, I got tired because, nightlife, exhausting stuff. And then I started doing PR events and marketing campaigns for different brands. And, it was a lot of fun. And I just did events and different campaigns and try to connect local brands with international audience and international brands with local audience. So I did that for a while, worked with the tourism boards as well, and just promoting Japan travel, doing all kinds of amazing things I loved so much. And I was supposed to actually be part of the Olympics as well, helping them with one of the sponsored campaigns. But obviously, COVID hit and everything just disappeared. So early in 2020, I started talking to a lot of entrepreneurs online, and I realized that many of them are super overwhelmed with all the information, all the courses, all the coaches, all the programs, and all the books, and just all the different strategies. And I realized that when I started, it wasn't like that at all. I didn't have all the different tools to choose from. There was like one way of doing it, and I did that. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to try my best to avoid all of that and help people overcome that overwhelm. So I developed Your Entrepreneur Resources, which is basically this new business that I'm doing, helping entrepreneurs connect with the right mentors and the right coaches and the right programs. So they can come into the platform and say, okay, so I want to learn about Instagram. I want a coach helping me with that. And they can tick, okay, I want Instagram, I want a coach. And then all the things that I talk about in my website and like through my website are very like as honest as I could possibly be and as genuine as I can possibly be, with the different reviews. So yeah, that's what Your Entrepreneur Resources is all about.
Brilliant. Oh, that sounds really interesting. And yeah, I remember when we
You.
were talking about about Red Bull, about the breweries. It reminded me of when I was doing the Corona Academy, Corona Extra, and
Right.
yeah, you're right. It's great fun, but it is a tiring life. It is a tiring way of
Yeah,
operating. Oh,
absolutely.
cool. So brilliant. Now, so it's helping entrepreneurs overcome the overwhelm, if you like, which sounds brilliant.
Hmm.
Um,
And the BS,
uh,
honestly, because there's a lot of that, like a lot of that out
yes.
there.
There's a hell of a lot, yeah. Well, it's so easy for anybody to become, in inverted commas, an expert. Just say you are.
Hmm.
Well, okay, there's a little bit more to it than that. But yeah, no, that sounds, well, it is an interesting platform. I know this because I've looked at it. But I mean, a part of that then is the sales aspect. Every entrepreneur
Hmm.
needs to sell. And that's what
Hmm.
we were also talking about before, and these elements
Hmm.
of PQ, partnering skills. So
Hmm.
I'm interested to go through these and just get your ideas on how, I mean, if you want to put the entrepreneur spin on it, how an entrepreneur would use these or can factor these into their way of selling, because it's
Hmm.
going to be it's going to be useful to anybody who's in any kind of sales role. So your
Hmm.
thoughts are what
Yeah.
I'm after more than anything here. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, let's start with trust then. Yeah, let's start with the
Hmm.
the, the trust element. It's a biggie. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah.
How can anybody selling anything start to build trust? Start to use trust?
Yeah, absolutely. I think trust it's all about being honest. I know I'm all about, honesty with everything that I do. And if you don't know something, like just say you don't know something. Like to build that trust, especially when it comes to sales, it's about, like if you have had that experience, make it into a nice portfolio, bring your credentials, make your case studies, have your testimonials, and present them, to the people, your prospects and your ideal audience. And then like when I said, I don't know, I just love that honesty is so important because I've worked with different partners and I've worked with different agencies and brands in the past. And the ability for me to say, hey, look, I have mainly done nightlife events in the past, but I'm willing and I'm happy to help you with this PR campaign. Like, would you have me? And obviously, like they would trust me because they can see the kind of events or the different things I've done in the past. And by me being honest with that can kind of break through that barrier and just like let them see how I could benefit them and I can bring value to what they want. So I think that's definitely one of the most important parts of like gaining that trust.
Oh, I think so. I mean, we know social proof is such a key element. So actually,
Mm-hmm.
being prepared to show that you're trustworthy, it makes a
Mm-hmm.
lot of sense. And then you
Mm-hmm.
said about bringing value. Yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
showing this is where I brought value. We can work together, to get more value,
Mm-hmm.
which right, takes us neatly or straight on to the next one. That kind of
Yeah.
win-win focus.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're already talking about that. Just carry on. Keep telling
Yeah,
us
yeah, for sure.
ideas.
Yeah, so I mean, just like any partnership or any kind of collaboration, it's all about, like I'll gain something out of it and you'll gain something out of it. And it doesn't mean, like necessarily money or, like doesn't have to be a tangible thing, but even the experience, it's super important. So being able to bring value in, the say for example, I'm telling you, okay, like I want to work with you on this one project and I can help you do this. And then, you can in exchange give me a testimonial or you can give me, like, I mean, you can pay me, like that's definitely one of the ways. That there's that win-win collaboration there. So absolutely, like I think, like it depends on if it's like a client customer relationship or if it's like a partnership or a collaboration. But every relationship needs to have that win-win yeah, partnership, I guess.
No. Absolutely. What partnering skills? That's where the PQ
True,
comes
true,
from.
right.
But no, but it's
Yeah.
interesting that I can hear the entrepreneur spirit, the entrepreneur thinking come through in this. There's a lot of salespeople will be perhaps listening and thinking, no, it's got to be money because that's kind of what they're being
Yeah.
employed to do, and that's what they're trying to exchange. But an
Hmm.
entrepreneur might think, you know what? Actually, a good exchange for me is what I'm going to learn from working with this person. Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
experience I'm going to
And
get. It's the contacts I might be being able to drive. That's worth more than
for
the
sure.
pound notes, if you like.
Yeah. And I mean, sometimes, like, even say, for example, there's like, if I were like, a salesperson working even for a company and I need to land this client, it doesn't mean that, like just about the money exchange. But for example, say I work with my colleague and I'm like, hey, like I've got this huge client and I can't manage everything myself. Can you help me out? That's a win-win situation. It's like I'm helping you out and then you're maybe out, you'll help me out in the future or that kind of partnership is also super important. So it's not just about money, I think.
It does. What goes around comes around. And
Mm-hmm.
you
Right.
you're hitting some good theories here, or some good principles. So we talk social proofing, reciprocity. I've helped you. You'll probably come
Mm-hmm.
around and help me. But yeah, but also again, you're very neatly moving into the next segment for me. Oh, you're making my life easy.
Yeah.
This is great. Well, no, because it's about another element of PQ is that concept of
Mm-hmm.
interdependence. So
Mm-hmm.
it's these other people potentially involved and that element of control. So again,
Mm-hmm.
what extra thoughts? How can you elaborate more on that?
I think the I cannot say this word, interdependence. It's such an amazing word that's super long. um,
Teamwork. Yeah,
yeah.
teamwork.
Right. I think it's probably one of the most important, like in my opinion, because for example, when I just started your entrepreneur resources, it's a very competitive space. And for me, instead of, fighting all the different people out there trying to, stand out, I don't care. I'm trying to collaborate with them. I'm saying, hey, like, I know you're really good with Instagram and I'm really good with, like starting businesses. How can we collaborate? Like by going through podcast interviews, by going, on Clubhouse, especially these days, like running a room together and like collaborating and talking about different topics. You can kind of borrow each other's audience and reach a way, way larger crowd than you could ever do by yourself. So I talk to a lot of my clients about this because, a big part of gaining visibility for me as well, it's about collaborating, interdependence, the interdependence. It's like, going on interviews, doing guest posts, even PR campaigns, like, going on, like being on other people's blogs, websites, being in magazines and TV shows. All of those is about the collaboration. It doesn't mean that you should, like reach for someone huge in your industry, but even if you look for someone that's, like around the same level as you can borrow each other's audience, do a live together, like, like collaboration over competition 100% every single day. So I'm all about that.
Collaboration. Let's use that word. I'm all over collaboration. I think it's a great word. And it's interesting. What I'm thinking here is, again, unsurprisingly, very much the entrepreneur angle, the entrepreneur perspective on this. But I was just writing down, guest posts, blogs, working on stories together, PR, working on little mini campaigns or things. Is a salesperson who might be employed by a corporate, big company, thinking, wow, you two have just gone off down this route? Or I'm thinking, no, they can do these things as well. In fact, that could be stuff that they can use to differentiate and to put themselves out there and to become the go-to person. And that's the account manager within your organization that I want.
Yeah.
They could certainly do that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean, even within a company, like what I was saying, within a company, like what I was saying earlier on, it's like, instead of like, I understand the competition is huge. You might be like try to kick your colleague out of the way and like all those things, but like instead of doing that, you should just collaborate and say, for example, if I have like, say for example, it's a recruitment company, right? I have good friends that are in recruitment and I have a role that I can't really find a good candidate for, but I know that my colleague has someone that's great for the role. Why can't we collaborate? Like either you can split the profit if you want to, or you can, like refer someone else to them or them referring someone else to you in the future. It's just good vibes as well. Like, like being, like competition doesn't bring anything good to you. I mean, healthy competition is great, but when you're just trying to be, like not collaborating and just keeping everything to yourself, that does not help anybody, to be honest. So I think collaborating in all kinds of situations, super, super important.
You can see me writing down here. I've just updated an old. So when I first went on sales training back in the day, the trainer was talking about you have to make deposits in the goodwill account, which is cool. But what you're saying is,
yeah.
Well, no, I like. Well, you can have that one, and I'm taking create good vibes. Create good vibes is the modern version of what he was saying back in the day. No, I like it. I might have the title. I might have the title for the episode in there.
Create good vibes.
I love it.
That.
Need a hashtag in there as well, I think, and then it's really cool. You're going to say that's not cool. A hashtag does not make something cool. Get yourself on some training with me, Fred.
Oh my gosh. No, I mean, we can make it into a thing, make it trend, make it a trending hashtag.
I like it. Oh, good. That's some great stuff here. So let's keep moving on. I'm going to pick your brains from I can here. So the next element, I often point out, I'm going through these sequentially. They're not. They're all very much interrelated, but we can only address kind of one at a time. But more often than not, we are kind of, when you talk about one, you sort of move into another element. And this is the self-disclosure and feedback part. So people take this in different ways. So I'm interested in how you've interpreted this and what that means for you.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the toughest ones because I think that, when you're so much in your element and you're just like working, if someone were to say, not like give you some criticism or give you some, even if it's constructive, it can hurt, like honestly. And I've been in a lot of situations where someone would come to me and say, hey Venice, look, I don't think that's really good, or they would be like, I don't agree with you. It hurts my feelings, honestly. Like I'm sure like everyone goes through that as well. But it's so much about, you know, like allowing that feedback. Just take a step back and be like, okay, like calm down, you're not always right, like stop being so self-obsessed obsessed. Like be open to other people's opinions and communicate, because just like what we talked about before, like with the collaboration, the communication is super important. And you know, being open to having people come in and give you feedback kind of deepens that collaboration, because it's, you know, like if you're giving someone feedback and they're giving you feedback, it's I know it's hard, it can be hard for sure, to, you know, like if especially if it's negative feedback, but you know, be open to that communication to help you strengthen that relationship and strengthen that partnership, and in result strengthen the sales and make even more sales, because you're improving each other, you know. So definitely important, a tough one, but an important one.
It is a tough one, and I think sometimes to help your own mindset with this, it's kind of, yeah, that kind of hurt, but why did they give me that feedback? Well, there's
Mhm.
two reasons. One, because they wanted to wind me up, because they just, you know, for whatever, trolling, or actually someone I'm close to, it's somebody I'm working with, it's someone I've got a relationship with, and it's because they care. It's because they care, because they don't want to see me make a
Yeah.
mistake, or they want me to get better, you know, or they want to do it so that, yes, the relationship does grow, so that we do both
Mhm.
benefit from it. And I think when you
Mhm.
said step back, I think that's one of the ways that we can do that, is to say, at least they can be bothered to do this, because if they didn't care, they wouldn't
Absolutely.
bother, would they? They'd have other things they could do.
Mhm.
But it is
I
a tough one,
completely agree.
nevertheless. It's
Yeah.
tough one, nevertheless. um, if you put a lot of effort, time into something, it's like, oh no, that doesn't really work, or
Yeah.
it's not quite right.
I
It's
think I think for sure, like, yeah. But yeah, like I think I completely agree. You know, like if someone gives you feedback of any sort, it's because they care. Like they wouldn't bother otherwise. So it's better to kind of lower your ego and like, because I know I have an ego. I know everybody does, but you know, it hurts, especially when it comes to something you're really passionate about. It's like your baby. If you're really passionate about your work, then it's like someone's like saying something bad about my kid, you know?
yeah,
So it's about putting that away and just focus on, like, take a step back and think, you know, why, just like what you said, why are they giving me that feedback? Is it constructive? If it is, then, you know, like that's great, and take it in. And, you know, like, you know, that you can trust this person to point these things out to you in the future as well.
back to trust. So there we go.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
very much interlinked. And actually, when somebody does give you that feedback, it's
Hmm.
almost a point that I can trust this person, because they will tell me the truth.
Hmm.
They'll be honest. You know, one of the
For
first words
sure.
you used. Um,
Hmm.
so all this stuff becomes sort of almost self-fulfilling. It self-perpetuates, doesn't it? Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
nice one. Nice one. Change. Yeah, another
Yes.
big one. Change. Comfort with change. Talk to me about that, and some of your thoughts on that area.
Hmm. I think I have gone through so much change in my life. Like I said, I went from one business to another, not really necessarily because of a bad situation or it didn't work out, but it was more because, you know, like opportunities come your way and they aligned with my vision of where I want my business to go, and you know, I welcome them. But obviously not every change is good. There are bad changes too, like COVID. Just, you know, everybody's going through it right now. Everybody had to adapt somehow. um, so I think that no matter, you know, if it's a small thing or a big thing, the to get comfortable is going to be very difficult, but we need to know that it's part of growth, right? Like change is so much, you know, like if there are no changes, then you're not going anywhere, you know. Like for example, say you're someone that is, you know, like very comfortable with your sales job. You're sitting in front of your desk, you go there 9 to 5, you don't, you know, like you don't bother like trying harder, or that's a change. Like trying even 1% harder that one day, that's a change. Like if you're not comfortable with that, you would never grow, you would not get anywhere. So being comfortable with the change, even though it might be scary, even though it might be uncomfortable, like it's so important to welcome it and embrace it. And if things get thrown your way, just, like understand that it's okay, and it's something challenging that's going to move you forward. Even if it doesn't move you forward, like COVID, like you can always kind of maneuver around it and find new ways. And you improve yourself that way. So I think it's definitely super, super important.
It is. Oh, it's a more cracking little soundbite. So, change is part of growth. No changes, you're not going anywhere. There we
Yeah.
go. No, I love that. And if things are thrown your way,
Mhm.
I mean, the way I kind of thought that is if people are throwing things your way, again, it's a little
Mhm.
bit like feedback. That's quite complimentary, because that's kind of saying,
Right.
you can do this. Yeah, I trust in you. There's other
Mhm.
folk I could ask to help with this, but actually, I want your help because you're good at this
Yeah.
stuff. So you might think, oh no, it's all you, it's all difficult. Take it for being sort of quite I forgot the word. It's quite a positive thing,
Yeah.
quite a
Yeah.
compliment. That's the word I was
Absolutely.
looking for.
Compliment.
Yeah. And I mean, the other thing you said about, COVID, yeah, it's putting a lot of change on us.
Mhm.
I think some people have actually taken a lot from it. It's forced some changes. And
Mhm.
as a result, they probably are in a better place. They have actually
Mhm.
gone somewhere as a result, to use your words. They've made that change, they move forward. And it's a horrible thing to say, even for big girls, but it might have done them a bit of a favor.
Mhm.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
have you come
Honestly,
across people that's happened to?
yeah, I think it's, yeah. I mean, I can't think of anybody on top of my head right now, but I know, there are big marketers and big, like online entrepreneurs out there that are saying, oh, because of COVID, now they're making 6, 7 figures, which is like, whatever. I don't really care about the more that it was a trigger to make them, it's like a kick in
Yeah.
the butt that made them, like take that step, get out of their comfort zone, quit their 9 to 5, or not quit their 9 to 5, and take on a bigger role. And then like the whole part about working from home as well, it's a change. And people now, like some people might realize that they don't need that 1.5 hour commute to get to work, and be stuck in traffic, start their day feeling like crap. Instead they can, it's okay to exercise in the morning, do some meditation, do some journaling, do some like enjoy your own like presence, and not have to sit in like some overcrowded train. I'm from Japan, so like a lot of people commute with insane amount of traffic. So I know people now that have they can sleep another hour. Like I know that's like it's a really small change, but it's one that people should appreciate as well. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, caused some interesting changes.
That's why I'm giggling, because you gave me a fantastic list saying, because you're now working at home, you can exercise, meditate, journal. But if you're in Japan, you just sleep another hour. Okay, I put words in your mouth a little bit there,
No,
but
no, no, but it's true.
so I mean, kind of what kind of commute lengths? I mean, you said an hour and a half. Is that the kind of commute that people might make in
Yeah.
Japan? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because most people work in the center of Tokyo,
Yeah.
and the rent is ridiculous, and you get such a tiny place that most people wouldn't be, like comfortable, especially if you live by yourself. Um, you paying a lot of rent. So most people end up living outside of the main area of the city. So that would mean around, maybe, I think the average commute time is about 40 to 50 minutes.
Whoa. I thought you'd got really fast trains though. I think got bullet trains. They got you there in minutes. Boom, there.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, the thing is, like, if you're living in another city, then it makes sense. But
Right.
otherwise, like the bullet train goes way too fast. Like it's gonna miss you where you're going.
It's not from outskirts to centre. It's literally one place to another. Okay. And
Yeah.
all right. So it's giving people that little bit of that freedom, that kind of space to, if you want to sleep, if you want to catch up on that, or if you are doing other things, or just not having the
Mhm.
stress. 'Cause I'm guessing it's fairly crowded as well, and it's just not a, it's
Yeah.
not a pleasant experience.
Not at all.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, good. Interesting. Yeah, it's a bit of a culture I've never been. Love to go to Japan. Love to go to Japan.
Yeah,
So
you should come. Yeah.
we'll hopefully when all this is over, we can arrange something there. But
Yeah.
uh, well, that's future. You know, that again neatly takes us into the next element of PQ, which is having this future orientation.
Hmm.
So again, what kind of what thoughts have you got on that?
Yeah, I think I actually, in the beginning of my business, I never thought about planning really. I was like, okay, so I'm going to sleep now. I'm going to wake up, run another event. Like, I'm sure you completely know what I'm saying because, it's all about like the moment, right? And then once my business started shifting a little bit, I was running, like events where I actually had to plan ahead, and planning became my thing. I love planning everything. If you look at my schedule, I plan every single thing I do every single moment. I'm not even kidding. I have like, for example, like have a shower. Like it's in my schedule.
Oh.
Maybe not have a shower. I'm not sure actually. I don't think I do that. But like I love like time blocking is how I plan everything. So what I usually do is I would sit down on Sunday evening, and then I would plan what I do for the week ahead. And like I would go into my calendar and I'll do time block, So I've got my interviews and I've got like days where I'm working on content creation, other days working on like visibility and client outreach and all those things. And then similar concept for the end of the month, I plan for the month ahead. So I'd say, okay, so these are the things that I want to reach, and these are my goals. And I try my best to make my goals as like tangible as possible. So like it's measurable. So say for example, instead of saying, oh, I want to have, like I want to sell out all my courses or whatever, I would say, okay, so I want to like add say 1,000 people into my email list. So that would probably convert at a like a 5%, and then that would like more numbers, so you can actually like calculate how much is actually being achieved. And then for the future wise, for like it's so important to write down what you want to achieve, because like with sales as well, like how many sales calls do you want to do in a day, or you don't want to do sales call, how many people do you want to reach through emails, or say if you want to like do some reflection on the strategies you've been using, then when should you do it, right? Like it's all about kind of writing it down, and because otherwise you won't remember, honestly. You won't. And even if you do, you'll probably just be like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow, and it won't happen because you're just going to keep pushing it back.
Wow, no, cool. Smart goals. We, you know, I can
Yeah, smart goals.
picture people who've been on training with me kind of go, oh God, you've given Fred a chance to go on and on and on about it again. Well, yeah, I do go on and on about it because it works. It's important. If not,
Yeah.
it's just like it's not a proper goal. You can't properly aim for it, and you can't work back. What are the things I need to do to achieve it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, so yeah, and the other thing I often get people to think about are the outcomes. So if the goal is the smart and the bit more kind of concrete thing you're trying to achieve,
Hmm.
for me the outcome is what it's like when you get there. And so if you
Hmm.
create that kind of mental representation, what it looks like, what it sounds like, what it feels like, that's really compelling for the brain. The brain wants to get there because it's looking forward to that kind of feeling and that sort of that whole sensory experience of what it's like.
Hmm.
Um, but no, certainly the writing stuff down, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, I
Um,
think like visualizing like what you just said, it's so important, like because sometimes things don't seem like they are achievable, because we have such big goals, and we should have big goals, but they should be like I'm like referring back to smart goals now. It's like they should be attainable, right? Like they should
yeah,
be ones that you can actually achieve. Not even in the future, not even, I'm not saying like 10 years or 5 years down the line, but say tomorrow, like what are the three big things, or like however many, but just not too many, because you want to make sure you can actually achieve them. I used to do this thing where I would say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do these 15 things, and I'm going to do them perfectly, and I'm just going to like like they're going to be done for sure. And then I would go into the day thinking, yes, 15 things. And I'd do 10 of them and I feel unsatisfied because I didn't finish those 15 things. But then 10 things I did do were amazing. So it's so, like setting your mindset up for success too. It's like instead of setting yourself up for failures all the time and giving yourself goals that you cannot possibly achieve, it's knowing your limits and knowing what you can do and maybe bring it up a notch just so you can feel challenged, coming back to the part of like the change, like being comfortable with change. Feel a little bit challenged so you're a bit on edge. And then when you are able to do it, celebrate it. Back at school, we had exams and, end of the year exams, and afterwards you'd all celebrate because you know that it's done. We don't have that anymore. So it's about, like when you do, for example, land a client, you have a new customer, celebrate it. Like take some time and just like appreciate what you've done.
Yeah, give yourself a little reward. Yeah, because that's how our brain works, isn't it? Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Such good advice. It's funny. The timing of this conversation is quite spooky, because just recently I've started using an AI-driven chatbot, a thing called Rocky.ai,
Okay.
which I use for morning and evening reflections. So my little
Cool.
mate on my phone, he asks me these questions and I answer, and you can choose a bunch of different areas. So you can choose whether it's like some more resilience or productivity, discipline, wellness, clarity, purpose. There's all these different areas you can think, well, that's where I want to focus for the next week, month, day, whatever. Yeah, and so I've started using that quite a bit, and I'm talking about it a lot at the moment because I've just integrated a lot of my material into it. So Rocky's now a sales expert as well, and if you want to concentrate on sales, there's my stuff in it. But the stuff you're saying, it makes such sense to me, and there's modern and easy ways to do it. Honestly, it's just 5 minutes. It's a 5-minute little conversation. My wife laughs at me.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking to your robot again. I thought, well, yeah, I am actually, because it's helping me be so much clearer in the stuff that I'm doing. It really
Absolutely.
does. It's cool. Have a play Rocky, as in
Yeah,
Rocky the
I'll check it
Boxer.
out.
.ai.
Okay.
It's really cool. It's
Cool.
well cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, it is. I love it. I like new shiny things, but it's something I can see me using forever, really, because it is. I'm seeing the benefits for it without a shadow of doubt. Without a shadow. But oh, cool. That is very, very interesting. So, just thinking about the future elements, then, what about yourself? Yeah, what are you getting up to in the next couple of months, years, whatever? Yeah, where's Venice going?
I think that's a really good question because I honestly don't know for sure, but I mean with COVID,
what does the plan
I don't
say? What's it say in the plan?
I know what I'm doing for the next week. And I'm kidding.
Right.
But I mean, with COVID, it's hard to tell for sure. And I don't want to, like tell myself, yes, you're going to make however much money or all those things within this certain time period. But I am running different campaigns for the government at the moment. So that's really fun. And for your entrepreneur resources, I just want to impact more people. I know just, like no matter where COVID goes, I can continue building that, helping people, like just not have all the overwhelm and, like collaborate with more people, like coming back to those like elements, just like collaborating with as many people as possible, connecting them with the right resources and connecting them with their ideal clients and customers. So that's kind of where I want to go. I think it's so important to know to give back as well. Because I was fortunate enough to be able to run my business and, work with amazing clients. So right now, my main thing is to give back and, help other people that are stuck or that are, like unsure how to proceed, help them, like come out of that rut and know, how to navigate. So yeah, I think it's a good year. I mean, it's 2021 now, but it was, I mean, back in January or December, it was a good time to reflect. And now it's time to take action and kind of give back and look at where you want to go. And for me, it's, continue working on my businesses and continue helping other people. That's what I'm passionate about. And that's what I'm very like I wake up in the morning like with a fire burning, and I'm like, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to help more people. So that's kind of where I see myself going.
Oh, cool, 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 cool. And how do people get in contact then? Where can they find the entrepreneur resource, and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so you can find the website. It's yourentrepreneur.resources.com, and I'm on Instagram a lot, so you can DM me at Your Entrepreneur Resources. And yeah, I love to chat with anybody that wants to get connected.
Brilliant. We'll pop those in the notes as well so that people can do that.
Yay!
But
Thank you.
no, look, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And there's some really interesting angles and stuff on that. You got me thinking. You know, you've seen me writing a lot down, and there's a couple of things that got big circles around. I think, yeah, I just need to probably get better at that. So,
That's
um,
great.
so that's cool. Yeah, the one that's got the most circles around is the good vibes.
Oh my gosh, I'm looking forward to the episode. The title of the
It's got
episode.
to be now. It's got to be now. But no, look, that is so kind of you to give us your time. You're certainly given a bit back just by doing this,
No,
which I
thank
will
you
do
so
as
much for
well,
having me.
and I will as well, by the way, because I agree with that as a sentiment. And one of the things that I've done this year to help with this is to
Mhm.
become a member of B1G1. So this is
Mhm.
about business for good, buy one give one. And so
Mhm.
for every guest that comes on the podcast, I make a bit of a contribution to that.
Oh,
I do a
amazing.
gift to people who are less fortunate. So
Mhm.
it's aligned to the global goals, the UN's
Mhm.
sustainable global goals,
Right.
sustainable development goals. Sorry, and I'm aligned very closely, as you can imagine, to number 4, which is education. So
Mhm.
there'll either be some textbooks, or we'll sponsor some training or something for somebody.
That's
Just
amazing.
just because you come and talk to me, that's what someone else will benefit. Someone else will benefit for us having a
Yeah,
fun conversation. So.
I'm so glad. Yeah, that's amazing. I love what you're doing right now. That's so cool.
It's cool. We're doing what we do anyway, but other people can benefit, and that's the whole point.
Mhm.
That's what attracted me to it. So, look, thank you so
Awesome.
much, and
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully we'll meet in person at some stage somewhere cool.
Yes,
Let's hope
definitely.
so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.